I have been on Etsy for years, since 2016, as a handmade product seller, and it's been like the most incredible experience. But a few years ago, I started the How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy podcast, and I've gotten to dive into so many other aspects of Etsy. And I like my total geek out right now is digital products because, like, coming from the physical product background where you're like going through all of the steps in the process of making it and then packaging it and shipping it, it's a very romantic, lovely concept, but I was making multiple six figures. We were selling over 100 big signs a month and it was exhausting. And so when I stumbled across digital products, which is like a semi-passive income because you make the product, you upload it to your Etsy listing, and then when someone buys it, Etsy just delivers it directly to them. Like your work is just slashed. And it's been it's been the biggest geek out. I love it so much. So for the past couple of years, I've been really like digging into different ways that you can make semi-passive income on Etsy with digital products. And a really, really hot one right now is coloring pages. I don't know if you've looked into this or not. In a second, we're going to go over to Etsy and I'm going to show you the possibilities. But people are like children, toddlers, school age, adults, people are so into coloring pages. And like, who knew Etsy was a great place to buy and sell coloring pages? There's massive demand and there's still pretty low competition. So I want to dig into this. I want to kind of show you what the potential is. I want to talk through what the different kinds of coloring pages are that you can sell. I want to show you some different ways that you can make them and really like cast the vision because I can't geek out on this alone anymore. Like we need to talk. I need someone to come into my little world about it. So let's go over to Etsy and start by digging into some of the numbers. Okay, so we're at Etsy.com and we're just going to go up to the search bar, which is just everything on Etsy, and we're going to type in coloring pages. Look at it's already making some auto suggestions. I love this. This is my Everbee extension. Highly recommend Everbee for data research because especially these days on Etsy, you want to make data informed decisions, not just what you feel like making if you really want to make a good income. So Everbee is telling us how many monthly searches there are, like how many times that customers search for coloring pages on Etsy. And you can see the numbers are pretty great. And there are some different categories that we can look into. Oh, P.S. If you want to try Everbee for free, I have a link down in the description of the video where you can try it for free and just kind of like dig into this a little bit. But let's just go ahead and hit enter. So the first thing you can do is just scroll through the first page of search results. Typically, the things on the first page are either like brand new listings or they're performing really well. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to filter by bestseller and dig into this a little more. But we're already seeing quite a bit of variety. Little pro tip, when you're doing Etsy research, something that helps is paying attention to like if things are on the first page of search or they are bestsellers and they're a newer shop. And the way you can tell someone's a newer shop is you look here between these parentheses says how many shop reviews they have. If they have under 500 reviews or they have under 1,000 reviews, pretty much, it's a newer shop or a slower growing shop. I really like focusing on looking at those listings because like my thought process is if this person can rank at the top of Etsy or as a bestseller as a newer shop or a slower growing shop, that means that there's potential for me. I can too. So that's one of my little like pro tips. Obviously look at all the listings, but it's kind of helpful to look at the newer ones that are doing well. So golly, we're seeing that massive bundles, of course, do well. That's always a play that you can do. I like to just create lots of individual listings and then down the road when I've got a bunch, I can bundle them together and leverage this. But let's just take a look. So Everbee, we're going to click the little B. This is a bundle of 4,500 coloring pages, and it is bringing in $10,000 revenue per month. Now, this shop is running a 50% off sale right now. So Everbee can't calculate sales because they go on and off. But if we take 10,048, this is pretty easy math, right, times 0.5, which would be half for the 50% off, they're bringing in a passive $5,000 a month from this. So it's going to take us a while to build up to this many coloring pages. However, with AI, you can do it a lot faster than we used to be able to. So really interesting to note, this has only been up for 2 months. It is a new listing. And here's the really crazy thing. Here's where we get excited. Everbee is going to tell me the tags that this listing is using to rank, and it can help me make decisions like look at how low. Let me tell you. So these are the tags that they're using. This is how many searches there are per month for that tag, and this is how many competing listings there are for that tag. So you can kind of see making a data-informed decision. There is space. Now, some of these, like Coco Wyo, is a trademarked company, so you wouldn't want to use that search term. But like Comfy Days or Cozy Coloring, look at only 10,000 competing listings, which may sound high, but like It's called a head keyword, the really broad keyword of coloring pages, has 314,000 competing listings and 1,300 searches a month. So how incredible that for even more searches, 1,500 a month, we are only competing with 10,000 other listings. This is golden data, okay? So really interesting potential here. This is totally different. Like someone here is making custom coloring pages for people based off of their photos. This could totally be done with AI. What a brilliant idea. It's a bestseller for a newer shop. I'm just curious. They are making $1,600 a month. Let's see, they have a 60% off code. So this takes a little more times less. They're keeping so $640 a month. It's only been up for 2 months. This would take more work, right? You're not just creating this and you're done. You'd have to do it each time. But I doubt that they are mad within 2 months making that much. The shop's been open for a little over 2 years, and I'm just curious to see. We're already learning more. Custom coloring book has very low competition at 5,000 competing listings and over 500 searches. That's great. Even better, pet coloring. Wow, really clever there. 1,500 searches a month and 7,000 competing listings. That is gold dust data right there. If you are considering this, you need to make a note of that. That is incredible. So some really, really cool SEO happening here. Now, we're seeing some totally different things. We're seeing, this is kind of nature-y. They are jars with little, like, what would you call that? Little settings, they're like little nature villages inside these jars. What a clever thing. Okay, so they're running a 67% off sale. This has been up for 7 months, $905 times 35. So it's bringing in a passive $316 a month. Oh my gosh, here's another incredible keyword. So jar coloring, really, really solid here with only 1,400 competing listings. Look, we're learning so much. Scary coloring, forest coloring page, teen coloring pages, aesthetic coloring. So you may be sitting here wondering, Lizzie, why are you so excited? Like, what is the big deal? The reason I'm jazzed right now is because a lot of times when you look at keywords on Etsy, and like, have you heard there's this myth that Etsy is too saturated. You can't make any money on Etsy. And I'm looking like, apparently you can in coloring pages because these newer shops are bringing in some great money. And these keywords are so low competition. We have this like little secret edge into the market with some of these keywords. Usually on Etsy, if you don't know how to do the search, and this is why like I love teaching on this. If you don't know how to do the research, like using a tool like Everbee and digging into the data, you are going to be trying to compete with like what we were looking at before. You're going to just use the word coloring page and be competing with 300,000 other listings. This is the sweet spot where we can find like these keywords that we can use that'll help us rank for like with many, many fewer competing listings and really great search volume every month. So let's talk about, gosh, we could keep going. Like, I want to talk through, like, look at this. This is all about marijuana. So like adult coloring pages, like not just adult, I would say mature, because plenty of adults want to do this cute and cozy stuff. So let's just come in close here and let's talk through for a few minutes some of the different kinds of coloring pages that you can sell, because we're already seeing some different things. So obviously kids still love coloring pages, and parents are always interested in printing off stuff for their kids, especially like theme related. Now you want to be careful with intellectual property violations. So just because you see people on Etsy selling things that are, for example, like Taylor Swift themed and they fly off the shelves, you don't know that later on they end up getting sued because they're using her intellectual property. So even though something like that with like a Mickey Mouse or a character or a person or song lyrics or something people recognize from pop culture tends to sell very well, it is illegal to use those people's concepts to make money. So you don't want to do that. But what other things could you use? Like axolotls are this funny lizardy type of animal, if you haven't heard of them before, or they're called mud puppies. Kids are obsessed with those these days. You could do an entire coloring page book on axolotls. There's another massive trend right now for raccoons. So you could go down a whole raccoon theme. I love the nature-y jar ones, because those people who just like love to be outside, they're like the hiking, camping, whatever family, like their mom would totally gravitate towards printing those off. So you could do under the sea, you could do dinosaur, you could do outer space. The world is your oyster. There's so many options. Just stay away from the intellectual property stuff. You're welcome. Big sister here looking out for you. So kids coloring pages. But what about toddler coloring pages, which need to be a little more simple? And maybe you could throw in some things there that help the parent teach words. I have a 2-year-old right now, and we're working on his talking. So like, I would love it if there wasn't just a pig on there, but maybe it also said oink, and if he was a little bit older, like if he was 4 to 5, I would love it if it had pig, maybe even where you could trace over it. So now you're getting into like educational coloring pages. So what if you extrapolate that out and you look into like, you could create homeschool coloring pages? It could get all kinds of advanced with like learning biology and learning marine biology and learning astronomy. And I mean, do you see how you could go down such a fun rabbit hole? You could do like airplanes, you could do trucks. There's like so many different possibilities. You go down a whole educational rabbit hole. And then slightly adjacent to that would be like, what about church? Well, lots of people go to church and Sunday school. What about like printables for that, where there are all kinds of themed, faith related? I'm sure there are other faith groups too that you could dig into. I just happen to know there's a lot of demand for, like Jesus and Christian related printables on Etsy. What about busy books for weddings or services where kids have to go and sit still, and it's so nice to give them something? What if you could make it where you're actually selling a Canva template, and then the organization could go in and kind of customize it and add their own branding and things like that to it? So many possibilities. And then when you're talking about adult coloring pages, things that are like stress relieving, there's a whole ADHD niche. You could go down a rabbit hole there where you could make them specifically for people with ADHD, where it kind of helps to soothe. You can do like mandala. There's the huge mandala trend where it's like these very intricate designs, the very patterny. You could do mature, like we were seeing here a few minutes ago. Those kinds of things can do really well. Like if you do, obviously the marijuana route, but also what about like being really sweary in them does really well. So full list on the screen, but lots of possibilities. Okay, so let's take a minute or two and talk about how you can create these coloring pages, because it's all well and good to see there's great demand on Etsy. There's lots of different avenues that we can take this on, but how do we make them? And so I'm going to give you 3 different suggestions today. My number one favorite way, because I'm not a graphic designer. I don't even really have the eye. You know how some people can like really put together an outfit, or they can really style a room and they just have the eye. I don't intuitively have that. I'm having to teach myself some of that. So I am really big on using AI to make coloring pages, actually to make all the digital products that I sell on Etsy, because I find that it just makes it so much easier. So for example, we can peek at Midjourney, and you are able to make, these are just some examples that are not mine. They're just there on Midjourney, and you can make coloring pages for anything that you want. And it's just utterly amazing. Now, in a few minutes, or actually it's probably a good time to do it, I wanted to talk about some of the problems with this, because you have to know how to, there's a bit of a learning curve in learning how to prompt it to give you what you want. So for example, this is, at first glance, a gorgeous picture of a fall autumn themed coloring page, but this would not sell well because there's too many details. There's too much shading. There is a whole art to making sure the coloring page does not have all the shading and has enough white space. So as an alternative, take a look at these that I have created with Midjourney using really specific prompting. There's a bit of an art to it. There is not shading. They are basic coloring pages. They are easy for people to color. There is not too much fuzz happening there. And this is what you really need to go for. So I'll tell you in a little bit, I actually have a workshop coming up for coloring pages that I'm going to be teaching where you could come and learn all my secrets, but more about that later. I want to show you some other ways that you can create them if they're more up your alley. So of course you can go into Canva and, make your little artboard, and you can go to the elements and you can type in coloring page, and all manner of things will show up that you could put together in order to make a beautiful coloring page. Now, you could get specific too. Like I could say Easter coloring, and look at this. So I can put together an Easter themed, and here's the thing. Like I told you, I am actually not, I'm not good at this stuff, which is why I prefer the AI. But this is another way that you could go about creating coloring pages that would be totally your own. You could put like a line down here for them to write their name. Obviously, you'd want to add more elements than this, but you could fill the page appropriately in order to make coloring pages like for days. There's so much in here. And then finally, there's this wonderful resource here. This website is called the Publisher's Vault. And in here, all of these art pieces here are like hand drawn by artists that are happy to allow you access to them. So you pay 27 a month. This is not my affiliate. I just found this and thought it was great. It was from another YouTube video, but you can gather, let me see, here we go. So they have like, how much do they have in here? Over 50 coloring niches, fairies, angels, ants, insects, kawaii, which is really hot right now, cars, planes. So that would be really cool for that because the planes are a little more difficult to get right in the AI. Black and white characters, and you can use these. So like, for example, right now the Western theme is really big. So you can use their elements to make coloring pages. You could pull them into Canva and have even more to choose from. And it looks like too, from what they have in here, that you'd also be able to create some scenes around them. So I think this is a really interesting, oh wow, see, here's even more. A really interesting way to be able to add to this niche, like in a way that I think most other people are not doing. So listen, bottom line, I really wanted to crack this open for you, kind of show you what the potential was, give you an idea of something you can go after on Etsy to bring in some semi-passive income. But if you want to learn this and you want to learn how to use the AI and get it right, you want to learn how to find the actual examples on Etsy, how to write the correct SEO so that you get seen and your listings can get purchased, how to write the perfect description. I'm actually in my workshop, I'm handing over my exact descriptions. I'm also handing over my prompts. So if you don't want to have to go figure out how to prompt correctly, so you don't have all the shadings and you don't have the problems with the not high enough quality coloring pages, I am going to hand over my prompts. So if you come to the workshop, you are going to get to come live and get a recording of exactly my process from literally how I decide what to design on Etsy, going into Midjourney and other AI tools that are great to get the exact designs that I want, packaging it for the customer, how I set up the listing. So you're literally getting like an Etsy tutorial in addition to the AI tutorial. I am a non-gatekeeper. I'm pulling out all the stops. If you want to join me, there is a live event on March 27th, 2025. But it will be recorded and this will be here much longer than that. So if it's past that date, grab it down below and you can get immediate access. I'm including a coupon code specifically for my YouTube family. So Y2 for YouTube, Y250 will get you $50 off your registration fee. This is a low ticket workshop. Come on over so I can just spill all the beans and I will see you there. I hope this has been super helpful and you're more excited than ever about the potential of Etsy, coloring pages, digital products. This is just the biggest geek out and I can't tell you what it means to me to have someone to talk to about it because I think my husband's getting tired of hearing about it. So you and me, kid, we'll chat all day long. I will see you in the other videos. I will see you at the workshop and I'll see you on the How to Sell Your Stuff on Etsy podcast every Thursday. Have an amazing day and thanks for hanging out with me. I hope this was helpful.